Hey everyone, so today I'll be going over some terminations for various twisted pair cables. Right here we have the CAT5e, it's your everyday CAT5e cable with your mod in right here, 8P8C connector, and on the other end we'll do the CAT5e Keystone. And I'll tell you what these, the zip tie and these dust covers are for later on. And we got your CAT6e with the Cable Creations CAT6e connector and the strain relief. Right here we have a shielded twisted pair CAT6, and on the very end we got the CAT6a shielded foiled twisted pair. So we'll go ahead and start with the CAT5e, and I'll show you the mod end connector as well as the keystone on the other side. And over here we have the various tools you'll need. You'll need a cable stripper. I'll show you how to use that later on. I like this one because you can adjust the height on it, so you can do it tight for a CAT5e. It's smaller diameter, as well as loosen it. You can get it pretty thick for this CAT6a, which has shielding as well as foiled twisted pairs in there. And then you have your just normal snips. Come in handy. It's probably about time for some new ones. It's not too sharp, but it'll make the job done. And over here we have your Klein Tools CAT5, CAT6 crimper, as well as you got your 6P6C. And there's my cat. All right, so we got our CAT5e cable. UTP stands for unshielded twisted pair. So your first step, you want to cut off probably about 2 inches of the jacket, and you're going to expose all the twisted pairs. So we'll go ahead and cut it. I like to barely make a cut in this, because if you cut it too deep, you risk cutting the twisted pairs, and then it will cause issues down the line. So we'll go ahead and do that, and we'll twist it off. All right, so you got your twisted pairs, blue, orange, green, and brown. And then your rip cord. Don't really need this if you make a good cut, so we'll go ahead and cut this off. All right, so next step is you get these lined up like this. I like the brown on the right, orange on the left, green towards you or away from you, whichever one it lands. Sometimes it's on the back, sometimes it's on the front. This time it's on the front. Blue will be on the back. And I'll start with the brown. Go ahead and untwist it a little bit. All right. So the solid brown is always going to be on the right. White brown will be next to it. We'll go ahead and start with the orange. Untwist them. Orange white will be on the left. Orange on the right of that. You start with the green. Start twisting this. Green will be on the right. White, green on the left. And right in the middle we'll have the blue pair. Go ahead and untwist this a little bit. Blue will be on the left. Blue, white will be on the right. All right. So that's how it should look. White, orange on the left, followed by orange, white, green, blue, blue, white, green, white, brown, and brown. So we're looking at these cables as if we're looking at the top of this connector when the pins are facing you and the clip's facing down. If the clip's facing towards you, it's going to work if you line them up the same way on both sides, but to keep up with the standard and make sure it's the same way every time and uniform, you're looking at it pins up. All right, so next step, we're gonna straighten these out a little bit. Straight as you can. All right, that should be good. We just want 1/2 inch straight. You can put it on like this and it's gonna work, but you'd rather have it 1/2 inch because you want this jacket to be inside this connector, so when you crimp it, it stays in there pretty good. All right, so we're gonna grab our snips and we're gonna cut about right there. It's about 1/2 inch. Make sure it's straight across and smooth. And then it should look like that. And then we're gonna grab our connector. Pins facing you, clip facing down. And we're just gonna slide it in carefully. Make sure that the pairs, sometimes they like to jump across and twist over. Never a good thing. So just make sure they get inside the dividers, just like that. Put a little pressure inside the connector. And you're always looking for 8 pieces of copper right there. Flush with the end. That means you're good to go. So we'll grab the crimper. With a little bit of pressure into the crimper, we'll push it in, as well as with the crimper, a little pressure on the cable. So we know the cables are at the very end of that connector. And give it 2 crimps. And you're good. All right, so now we'll do the keystone side of the CAT5e cable. So here's your keystone, and right here is a punch down tool with a 110 blade on it. All right, so what we'll do is we'll grab this, and I always like to look at it like this, with the plug facing away from me. If you look on the side, you'll see the stickers. Kind of easy, just go with the instructions. So brown will be facing away from me because it'll be like this, and blue will be closest to me. It's the same for both A and B standards. I always use B. I've always been taught B, so we'll do that today. So we'll grab the cable, go ahead and separate these. Blue and brown on one side, and green and orange on the other. And you'll see with the green and orange that if we're looking at it like this, green's closest to me for B, and orange is furthest away from me. So we'll go ahead and separate it like this. Kind of what the stickers show on this. And we'll go ahead and start with the blue. Just make sure the jacket is just past these holes right there like that, because you'll put the zip tie through here and you'll tighten it down so this doesn't, if it was like this and it moved around, these are prone to breaking. So I like to get that jacket just past the holes, just like that. So hold it down with the thumb and we'll get the blue ready. So hold it down with my left thumb. Start untwisting with my right hand. Sometimes it doesn't cooperate. All right, so it's in there. We'll get our punch down tool, punch down the blue and blue white, just like that. And these should pop off, but sometimes you just gotta give it a little wiggle, it'll come off. Sometimes. All right, so we'll do the same for the other colors. Sometimes you gotta twist these a little more. All right, so on this side, we'll have the green first, green, white closest towards us. And we'll hold down with our right thumb and untwist with our left hand. Get them down in there. All right, hold it still. Give it a little punch. Just gotta make sure they're flush in there. Good. Give it a little twist. And then we'll have white, orange, and orange. And it looks like it's already lined up for us. Sometimes it just works out. Put it in there. And there you go. Not the prettiest, but that's how it should look. As you'll see in there, we got the brown on this side. Lines up with the stickers. As well as the blue, and then the green and orange lines up just like the stickers for B. And with each keystone, I believe they all come with these little dust covers. They should just clip right on. And it's pretty self-explanatory what those are. Clips on just like that. And you'll see the jacket's just in front of the holes, and that's okay. Not too bad. So, stick that in there. And there you go. We'll get our snips and cut this zip tie off. Zip tie tail, that is. And there you go. How's that for a loop? All right, so next we'll do the CAT6e. All right, so here we got the unshielded twisted pair CAT6e with the Cable Creations connector and the strain relief. So we'll go ahead and cut off about 2 inches of this jacket. We'll go ahead and cut this ripcord. I like to flatten these out a little bit so it's easier to cut this thing off. That's just a spine to keep the twisted pair separate. It's just a feature of most CAT6 cables. So cut it pretty close and I'll give it a little twist. Comes right off. And now with your thumb right here, give pressure. We're gonna hold it tight, kind of give it a little wiggle, trying to straighten these cables out as good as we can. So I usually put this strain relief on first before I strip the cable. So it's easier to get on. If you forget to do it, you can always twist these at the very end. You can slip it right on. And we're gonna cut off about 1/2 inch straight across. All right, now we're gonna grab our connector, make sure that the colors are still lined up, and we're gonna slide it on. All right, so we should be able to see 8 pieces of copper in there right at the end. And we're gonna slide the strain relief in. And you're gonna have to hold these clips down, just like that. If it's like that and you put the crimper on, the strain relief's just gonna pop up, just like that. So what I like to do, hold that down like that. Carefully slide this in, and putting pressure into the crimper with my left hand, and with my crimper I'll put pressure onto the connector. Crimp it twice, and there you go. CAT6e unshielded twisted pair with the Cable Creations strain relief and connector. So here we got our shielded twisted pair, CAT6. So I'll show you what the difference is between this and the regular CAT6. So you'll notice first off, you got the foil right there, the shield. That's gonna come off, as well as this ripcord. And inside the foil, you have this shielding part. You're gonna keep that intact. And we got this little bit of plastic we're gonna cut off as well. So kind of stretch it out. Give it a little snip over here. All right. And we're just gonna twist it off. There we go. This one's being a pain in the butt right now. What's going on? For time's sake, I'm just gonna do this. like it never happened. So now we're going to straighten them out a little longer than we would the CAT6 or CAT5. I'll show you why. All right, so we got these straight. You'll notice with this CAT6, comes with this little divider. So that's going to help you align into the connector itself. So we're always looking at it like the pins are towards us. And with this divider, you're going to notice if you look at on the inside of this, you might not be able to tell, but the brown is always going to be starting on the up. So this will be towards us. So if you look at this divider, you'll notice one side is always up, one side is always down. So if the brown's going to be towards us, it's going to be like that. If that makes sense. So if I'm looking into the connector, it's going to look just like that with the brown towards the top of your screen. All right, so we're going to do it like this. But first, to make things easy for you, I like to cut this at about a 45-degree angle, because I always start putting this divider on with a brown cable. All right, so we're going to make sure it looks just like that. So we're going to start with the brown. This is a little tricky. It takes patience for sure. So start with the brown, brown white, and then greens up. Blue whites down, green whites down, oranges up, just like that. You gotta mess around with that at first. It's a little tricky and it'll piss you off at first. But if you cut it at a 45-degree angle, straighten those cables out as good as you can, it's not too difficult. All right, so they're pretty straight. So I'll put this all the way at the bottom, so I can cut off about 1/2 inch. All right, so should look just like that. So I'm gonna slide the divider up right towards the edge, and don't forget about this. Keep it like that. So we'll grab the connector, go ahead and slide it on. All right. And we're gonna look at the end, make sure we see 8 pieces of copper right there, and yep. All right, so keep this like that. We're gonna grab the crimper with pressure into the crimper and pressure from the crimper onto the cable, crimp it twice. All right, double check our work, looks good, crimp down. So now the shielding bar, we're gonna wrap it around a couple times. That's all I gotta do with that thing. So now with this little strain relief, wouldn't call it a boot, but I'm gonna pinch these sides down. If you got needle nose pliers, it's a little easier. All right, so there you go. That's your basic shielded twisted pair CAT6. All right, so we've got the CAT6a shielded foiled twisted pair. So this thing's capable of 10 gigabits over 100 meters. So it's a little different than the CAT6, but it does use the same connector, the same divider. So we'll go ahead and open this up and see what it looks like on the inside. So you're gonna notice right off the bat, you got the braiding. I like to twist it off a little bit. You're gonna wanna leave a little bit of that into the connector so it stays shielded. Cut off about that much. And we're gonna wrap it around the cable. going to cut this ripcord off. All right. So now, this is what foiled twisted pair looks like. Each pair is foiled up, as opposed to the other CAT6, the shielded twisted pair. Just has a foil around it. This one has the shielding right here, the braiding, as well as the foiled twisted pairs, just added protection. Kind of separate it like that. So we got the foil all taken off. So we'll line this up just like we did every other cable. And untwist. I've noticed the CAT6a is, for me, it's a little easier than CAT6 for some reason. These twisted pairs they feel softer. They're definitely a thicker gauge. So you'll notice that the white cables don't have the white brown. So you gotta be kind of careful. It's kind of hard to twist these up like that, but it could happen. So now we're gonna put our thumb right here with a little bit of pressure. Not too much though. We're gonna straighten these out. Just like with the CAT6, we're gonna put the divider on. So we'll have about 2 inches of straight cable, make it easier. And the same with the other CAT6. With the divider, we're going to cut at about a 45-degree angle. Maybe not 45, that's maybe 30, whatever. Some sort of angle, kind of like that. And the same thing. We're going to look at this as if the brown is going to be just like that, starting on the upside. So we're going to go ahead and fit this on carefully. Brown up, white brown down, green up, green brown, green white down. And you're going to have to try it a couple times. All right. Slide this down. Cut it to about 1/2 inch. Get this foil, this braiding kind of twisted around to complete the shielded part of this. Get this towards the end. Go ahead and slide it on there. All right. Look at the very end. Should be able to see 8 pieces of copper towards the end, and it looks pretty good. A little extra nudge for safekeeping. All right. Pressure into the crimper. Pressure from the crimper onto the cable. 2 crimps. And with the strain relief, go ahead and straighten it out. As I said, needle nose is a little better, but I don't have that right next to me. All right. And there's your shielded foiled twisted pair.